Well, it seemed like everything kind of fell into place. Like you say, I've been a Sinatra fan forever.
Willie Nelson has always been known as one of the greatest storytellers in American music. His life itself has felt like a song full of heartbreak, survival, mistakes, and redemption. Now, at 92 years old, he has finally admitted something he kept hidden for decades: the truth about his friendship with Kris Kristofferson. Willie confessed that Kris was not just a bandmate or a fellow songwriter, he was the reason Willie survived his darkest years. It was a friendship built on music, loyalty, and shared struggles in a world that did not always welcome them. But in a heartbreaking twist, Willie only said these words after Kris passed away in 2024. His silence, and the regret that came with it, show how even the strongest men can carry deep emotional burdens. This revelation has touched fans around the world, because it reminds us that even legends like Willie Nelson carry unspoken truths about the people they love most. To fully understand why his words matter so much, we have to look back at Willie's long journey, filled with battles, triumphs, and the bond that shaped him. Willie Nelson was born in Abbott, Texas, on April 29, 1933. During the Great Depression, life in those years was brutally difficult. Jobs were rare, money was scarce, and survival meant hard work. Willie's mother left when he was only 6 months old, and his father soon followed, leaving Willie and his sister Bobby in the care of their grandparents. Their grandmother Nancy taught piano, while their grandfather Alfred worked as a blacksmith. They lived in poverty so severe that during cold winters, newspapers were glued to the walls of their small house to keep out the wind. By the time Willie was 7, he was already working in cotton fields to help buy food. At that same age, he nearly died from pneumonia, a sickness that killed thousands of children during that time. Willie survived, but the experience gave him a toughness that would stay with him for life. Amid all the hardship, one gift changed his destiny. At 6 years old, his grandfather gave him a guitar. It wasn't expensive, but it opened a world that became his refuge. By 7, Willie was writing songs, and by 10, he was playing in bars, making more money than he ever did picking cotton. Music became the tool that carried him through poverty and pain. Willie's teenage years and early adulthood were shaped by both ambition and loss. His grandfather, who had taught him guitar and encouraged his music, died of pneumonia when Willie was only 6, leaving behind an emptiness that never fully healed. By 17, Willie joined the U.S. Air Force, hoping to build a stable life, but a back injury forced him out within 9 months. Without money or direction, he turned to music full-time. His first recordings came in the mid-1950s. And while he worked as a radio DJ in Washington, he sold his early singles along with autographed photos for just $1 each. His determination was strong, but success was slow. He often struggled to feed his family, selling Bibles and vacuum cleaners just to get by. Even when he wrote brilliant songs like Family Bible and Nightlife, he sold them for only a few dollars. Those songs later became huge hits for others, teaching Willie one of his most painful but important lessons: never give away your songs too cheaply. These years were filled with rejection and disappointment, but they also built the resilience that would later define his outlaw spirit. By the 1960s, Willie had moved to Nashville, the heart of country music, but success was still just out of reach. He often felt like an outsider in the polished, commercial world of Music Row. One snowy night, when his career seemed hopeless, Willie even lay down in the snow, ready to give up on life, until a friend found him just in time. That moment of despair could have ended everything, but fate had other plans. Slowly, opportunities opened up. His song Crazy, made famous by Patsy Cline, became one of the biggest hits of the decade. Yet even with songs like Funny How Time Slips Away and Hello Walls, Willie himself was still broke, as record labels took most of the profits. Frustrated with the system, he began carving out his own path. By the early 1970s, he returned to Texas, found a home in Austin's unique music scene, and started making the raw, authentic music that Nashville had rejected. This rebellion against the mainstream was the birth of outlaw country. It was here, in the 1970s, that Willie's career transformed and, It was also where his bond with Kris Kristofferson began to take shape. Kris Kristofferson was not just another country singer. He had been a Rhodes Scholar, a helicopter pilot, and an army captain before giving it all up to pursue songwriting. Like Willie, he was an outsider in Nashville. Someone who wrote songs that were honest, raw, and different from the polished country hits of the time. Willie admired Kris because his songs carried a truth that few dared to put into words. In 1971, Willie performed Me and Bobby McGee, one of Kris's most famous songs. Later, in 1979, Willie even recorded an album almost entirely of Kristofferson's songs, proving just how much he valued Kris's writing. Their paths crossed, not only on stage but also on film sets, most memorably in the 1984 movie Songwriter. Playing versions of themselves, the two legends brought real-life struggles of the music industry to the screen. Their connection was not about fame or money, it was about respect, survival, and pushing back against a system that tried to control them. Together, they became part of a movement that reshaped country music forever. The bond between Willie and Kris grew even stronger in the mid-1980s when they joined Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings to form the Highwaymen. This supergroup of outlaw legends became one of the most iconic collaborations in music history. Their 1985 album, Highwaymen, went platinum and proved that older artists who felt pushed aside by the music industry could still command massive respect and success. Willie and Kris stood side by side not only on stage but also in causes like Farm Aid, the charity Willie helped launch in 1985 to support struggling farmers. Yet, like all deep friendships, theirs was not without conflict. Kris leaned strongly toward left-wing politics, while Willie leaned libertarian, and the two often argued. But their disagreements never destroyed their bond, because both men valued honesty and loyalty above everything else. They shared stages, wrote together, and trusted each other in ways that went beyond music. To Willie, Kris was not just a friend, he was a lifeline. Kris Kristofferson's later years were marked by serious health struggles. Beginning in 2009, he started experiencing severe memory loss, which many assumed was dementia or damage from years of boxing. For nearly a decade, Kris faded from the spotlight, leaving fans heartbroken. In 2016, doctors finally discovered the real cause: Lyme disease. With proper treatment, his condition improved, but his time in the public eye remained limited. Throughout these years, Willie stayed close, visiting Kris in Hawaii and keeping their friendship alive even when Kris sometimes struggled to remember his own songs. Then, in September 2024, Kris Kristofferson passed away at the age of 88. The news devastated Willie. In concerts that followed, he honored his friend by performing Help Me Make It Through the Night, leaving audiences in tears. For Willie, losing Kris was not just about losing a friend, it was about losing the man whose words and songs had saved him during his lowest points. By this time, Willie was the last living member of the Highwaymen, carrying the heavy weight of being the last one standing. In the weeks after Kris's death, Willie gave an interview where he finally admitted the truth he had held inside for decades. He confessed that Kris's songs had carried him through his darkest nights, that they were not just music, but lifelines when he felt lost. He said that songs like Sunday Morning Coming Down, For the Good Times, and Me and Bobby McGee had saved him more than once. He admitted with sadness that he wished he had told Kris all of this while he was alive. His words were simple but heavy. I hated to lose him. For fans, this confession showed a vulnerable side of Willie Nelson that few had seen before. After a lifetime of surviving loss, debt, illness, and personal tragedy, it was clear that this loss was different. Kris Kristofferson had been more than a partner in music, he had been a brother in spirit. Willie's regret in not telling him sooner is a reminder to all of us about the importance of saying what truly matters before it is too late. Today, at 92 years old, Willie Nelson continues to perform, record, and inspire millions. He has survived more than most men could endure. Poverty, the death of loved ones, IRS battles, health scares, and the constant demands of fame. Yet, his recent admission about Kris Kristofferson shows that even a legend carries regrets. His story is no longer just about outlaw country, platinum records, or Grammy wins. It is also about friendship, loyalty, and the pain of unsaid words. Willie Nelson's truth about Kris is not only a tribute to his friend, but also a message to the world that the people who lift us in our darkest times deserve to hear our gratitude while they are still with us. As Willie himself has proven again and again, music is not just about melody or format, it is about survival, love, and honesty. And at this stage of his life, his honesty about Kris Kristofferson may be his most powerful song of all. To truly understand why Willie Nelson's confession about Kris Kristofferson means so much, we must look at the unique paths that brought both men together. Willie's life was rooted in rural Texas poverty, where hard work and endurance shaped him. Kris's journey could not have been more different. He was born in Brownsville, Texas, in 1936, into a military family with higher expectations. His father was a U.S. Air Force general, and his family wanted Kris to follow the same disciplined path. Kris excelled academically, eventually earning a Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford, where he studied literature. While there, he also trained as a boxer and began writing songs. But Kris shocked his family when he left behind a promising military career to pursue songwriting in Nashville. This decision caused a permanent rift with his parents, who disapproved of his choices. Just as Willie had once been abandoned by his parents, Kris also lived with the pain of rejection from his family. This shared sense of loss, though unspoken, was one of the invisible threads that connected the two men. When Kris first arrived in Nashville in the mid-1960s, he worked as a janitor at Columbia recording studios. He emptied trash cans and swept floors while listening to artists like Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, and yes, Willie Nelson record in the same building. He was an outsider looking in, dreaming of one day joining their ranks. Willie, meanwhile, was still struggling to break through as a performer, even though others were turning his songs into hits. Both men were surrounded by rejection, yet both carried a fierce determination to prove themselves. Kris would often sneak his demo tapes into the hands of famous singers, but most ignored him. One story says he even landed a helicopter in Johnny Cash's yard just to hand him a song. That relentless drive was something Willie respected deeply. When they eventually met, Willie saw in Kris the same hunger he had carried for years. Their friendship was not born from instant fame, but from shared scars and relentless perseverance. The 1970s were a turning point for both men. For Willie, leaving Nashville and returning to Texas gave him the freedom to create music on his own terms. For Kris, it was the release of songs like Sunday Morning Coming Down and For the Good Times that made him a household name. Willie was one of the few artists who truly understood the genius of Kris's songwriting. Unlike traditional country lyrics that focused on simple heartbreak or honky-tonk life, Kris's words carried the weight of poetry and philosophy. His songs explored loneliness, regret, freedom, and the struggle of ordinary people. Willie admired how Kris could capture the human condition in just a few lines. It was no coincidence that Willie later recorded entire projects dedicated to Kris's music. He once said that Kris's songs were like prayers, raw, honest, and healing. This deep artistic respect became the foundation of their lifelong bond. Beyond the music, Willie and Kris connected on a personal level through their shared struggles with alcohol and drugs. Both men lived hard, partied harder, and often walked close to the edge. The 1970s outlaw movement wasn't just about rejecting Nashville, it was about living life without rules. But freedom came at a cost. Kris's heavy drinking sometimes threatened his career, and Willie faced near-death experiences from stress and overwork. Yet, in each other, they found a sense of stability. Willie once joked that Kris could outdrink anyone in the room, but he also admired his ability to pour that pain into songs. Their bond was strengthened not by perfection, but by their flaws. They both understood what it meant to stumble and rise again. For Willie, Kris was a friend who never judged. Someone who knew the price of living authentically. When the Highwaymen came together in 1985, it was more than just a collaboration, it was a brotherhood. Johnny Cash brought the gravitas, Waylon Jennings brought the grit, Willie brought the soul, and Kris brought the poetry. Together, they created something timeless. Their live shows were legendary, blending individual